All right. So for this BTC analysis, we're actually going to start inverse to how I usually do. Usually I start on a higher time frame and work my way in. This time we're going to start on a low time frame and work our way out. So we started, and last BTC update was the 2 minute video that got posted on Twitter. And it was talking about how these three drives, these three equal highs, and then they get swept. We form a higher high only to close back below typically is, in my opinion, a local, if not a high time frame bearish kind of structure. And then that usually sees a full retrace and maybe even further downtrend. In hindsight, it was absolutely that, right? So we tied that speculative analysis because it is a price action analysis. Right here, price action is trending upwards, but we look at that sweep of the highs and we say, well, it may be something that we need to take caution on. We combine that with, at the time, what is the most actionable local trend portrayal, the 30-minute 200 moving averages, and we said, yeah, it looks like we're kind of losing those too, so we might see that bigger pullback, right? Bigger pullback into where? Probably, in my opinion, the same place that we found support at the last time around, which just so happens to be the same kind of foundation to a reasoning as to why we were able to flip bullish during this entire uptrend in the first place. Right. So my bet's going to be that we're going to pull back into that region, and that region is going to act as that line in the sand. Right. And we had this like $300 discount on Coinbase where somebody, fat fingered and market sold right into high time frame trend support. I come out very adamantly and boasting and, hey, that was the bottom. Have fun staying poor. CB's entity, whoever you were, and make sure you buy back higher, right? It acts as the local bottom for all of like a week or whatever. And then obviously nothing good came from it. In hindsight, we did go on to lose those 4 hour 200s anyways. On low time frame price action, the hourly 200 MAs kind of like stepped in and took a bigger priority over the 30-minute 200s. This is the thing that people get confused about trend trading, or at least my system, is that they see that I'm respecting something and they just automatically assume that I'm going to attribute those moving averages always, right? It's not necessarily that. It's that I'm going to ask the chart, what is it that you're respecting? And then, per my discretion, I'm going to attribute whatever it seems to be respecting the best as that dedicated trend. So, here we did make the argument off of the 30-minute 200s because look at the trend along the 30-minute 200s, right? But all of a sudden, the 30-minute 200s stop being alpha. So I want to stop using them. As soon as we kind of look like we're starting to creep above, only to kind of like chop below and then really more emphatically try to reclaim them back above, only to chop back below, only to chop back above and back below and back above and back below. Maybe, right, sometime during this period, the light switch goes off that says, maybe I need to stop paying attention to the 30-minute 200s. What's being respected better? And then you go to the hourly 200s. And when you see this kind of a price action, you're like, oh, maybe I should be using these instead. So then we followed up with that analysis and we said, okay, if price action can convincingly reclaim these hourly 200s as well as deviate back inside of this range, there's a really good chance that this was, in fact, the bottom. The Coinbase entity market sold into high time frame trend support. We're going to make him buy back higher, right? In my opinion, this does look like a convincing reclaim, but obviously that's not what happened, right? We immediately close back below. We show that we're not really all that interested in deviating back inside of the range, reclaiming local strength, and then locking in, quote unquote, or confirming, which are meme sort of terms, but I don't really have a better way to get that point across. We want to confirm that that was the bottom. You missed your chance just like last time. And here we go. We're going to go for that higher high, right? And in my opinion, if the trend keeps trending from here, this is the bottom where we know we're looking for a higher high. In that update where we talked about these three drives and this weakness structure, we also said that above here is probably rocket fuel, right? And there's a lot of like void of a liquidity zone from like 25K into 29K. So if we rocket right above this region, we'll probably just continue expanding into here. Now, obviously, because of the showing of strength and then immediately negating it and falling right back through and showing weakness yet again. At that point, at best, you're going to chop along your 4 hour 200s with your hourly 200s pinching as resistance, and then eventually one side has to win, and you're hoping and praying that the 4 hour 200s win. We eventually go on to do what we quote unquote should have done here. The market doesn't ever have to do anything, but we should have continued expanding away from here, and we didn't. So at best we're going to chop sideways, pinch in between this local resistance and that high time frame support, and at worst we just continue downtrending, right? At this point, we have now attempted to create a higher high on the daily. We had, in hindsight, yes, we did lock in a higher low, right? But we failed to continue with a higher high, which is what we expected. We expect higher highs and higher lows. That is the trend. And we didn't get that. And we expected that at trend support. And we didn't get that. Instead, we formed that lower high. We immediately show weakness all over again. That weakness starts as a snowball, right? When we reclaim the hourly 200s, we are uptrending across literally all time frames. Every single time frame that you look at is bullish when you're reclaiming those hourly 200 MAs. Except now, when we lose them again, that becomes that snowball of weakness. And then when you lose the 4 hour 200s, that's more like the body of a snowman. And when you go on to break your daily market structure, suddenly all the same arguments that have me bullish at 17.4 are now the same arguments as to why I cannot justify being bullish anymore. And I should, in fact, be bearish, right? So then the caveat that comes along with that analysis is, but Mercury, we're looking to test the 200 daily EMA. We're looking to test this major demand zone, right? It's a very key support level. It's 21.6K or whatever. And that was the previous range high as of the past 5 months. And it's like, yes, that is a valid analysis, but good luck trading that, right? And it's like, at best, you're going to buy this demand zone, you're going to buy the 200 daily EMA, and somehow miraculously, we're going to chop from here to here for the next, I don't know, maybe weeks, maybe only days, but probably more like weeks or months, right? And we just kind of go sideways in like illogical fashion, and my hand jerk movements and all that's going to come true, right? Or we just say, no, screw this demand zone. Just like every demand zone prior, this is now a deviation back inside of this 5 month long range, right? And deviations imply, just as we said last time, when you deviate back inside of a range, you anticipate the opposite side of the range, right? Mid range and then opposite side of the range. So if we deviate back inside of here, which happens upon losing this zone, we look for that mid range, we look for that opposite side of the range all over again. So, yes, you are buying a support level. And can this support level see a bounce? Yeah, absolutely. It's support. It would be more kind of pathetic if we didn't bounce from support, right? That would show how weak bulls really are. But support is support, and the trend is also the trend. One of them has to break. Does that sound familiar? Because on the way up, we're saying resistance is resistance, but the trend is also the trend. The trend broke here. The trend started here, right? You could even actually argue that it started well before that. I just decided to acknowledge it here, right? But we reclaimed structure. We flipped structure bullishly. We reclaimed 4 hour 200s, somewhere around 16.6. I started to acknowledge those arguments above this resistance level at 17.4. So those same arguments are no longer applicable in my mind, the way that I see it now, right? The whole time up, I'm acknowledging, hey, yeah, this is a cool little green line. It may or may not see some sort of resistance. Cool. Yeah, this is a cool little blue line. It may or may not see some resistance. It's also confluent with a pretty acknowledgeable, significant, range high resistance as well. So, I mean, yeah, sure, we could see that, but just know that there's no real base of an argument as long as the trend is still trending, right? When we do something like this, now all of a sudden, in hindsight, oh, this is not just a tap of resistance. This is, in fact, a top, right? This is, in fact, a top. So, in hindsight, now the the local weakness that we acknowledged that started on a small scale. Yeah, that was a tongue twister. Sorry. On the 30-minute 200s, and that drive of the three drives and then sweep higher. Right, that weakness compounded, and we tested our 4 hour 200s. We tested our high time frame zone, and we held and we tried to continue, but we failed, and now we're below them. So now that snowball has compounded, and it will continue to compound or it will be crushed again. So, what does that tell you? It tells you that the same way that you engineered that mindset in the first place, you should be able to reverse engineer it now. Look at this chart and tell me within 4 seconds which way are we headed, right? And it's like, yeah, you can argue the exact same thing here. The difference is the reasonings, right? The justifications as to why we don't care about this local downtrend because we're still uptrending on a greater scale, right? Except this time, it's looking like we need to start caring about that local downtrend because it's not just a local downtrend anymore. It is a high time frame downtrend. So you're not buying a dip, in my opinion. You are buying a major support level in the midst of a downtrend. That is inevitable. If the downtrend continues downtrending, you will not only get the chance to buy this major support, you'll get the chance to buy the next major support, right? Mid range, or the next major support, maybe 18.5K range lows. Oh, whoops, I drew those wrong. Right? Maybe 18.5K, the range lows. Maybe this demand zone again. Maybe you just get the chance to buy 12K. I don't know, right? But that's the point is that I don't know. So I'll wait for the market to tell me what it's going to do and I will take it at face value and then I'll look to play into that strategy. But for now, I rode the trend for 2 months and 35% or something ridiculous, right? And the trend broke, and I always knew that inevitably it would break. And when it broke, I had to flip my bias with the same ease and the same sort of gradual, smooth transition that we flipped bullish at 17.4. And it's very hard to fathom that we may go on, a major rally kind of push. In hindsight, it led to a 50% rally. At minimum, I have managed to capture 35% of that at minimum, right? That's not including the daily resistances that we sell on the way up, just for the simple fact that we know you cannot profit from this market unless you take profit. So when we come up into this resistance, yes, I am taking some profit. When we come up into mid range, yes, I'm taking some profit. When we come up into this range high, yes, I'm taking some profit. When we come up into this 25 daily resistance, yes, I am taking some profit. I will continue to take profit over and over and over again at each and every single one of these resistances higher as long as the trend doesn't break. But the trend broke. So I'm no longer allowed to justify why we might come to the next resistance. And all of a sudden, I can not only uh, you know, justify taking profit, I can justify getting rid of the position as a whole and looking to start from scratch all over again.